तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपम् ज्योतिर्परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत्। She, in her dreadful knowledge, was alone. Still veiled from her was the silent being within.
O Spirit, O immortal energy, if it was to nurse grief in a helpless heart, or with hard, tearless eyes await thy doom, arise, O soul, and vanquish time and death.
I believe that Mother Sri Aurobindo, they have been with me since before my birth, without my knowing. I found the answer for all my questions. So it's something very powerful, and so then I have no more questions in my life after that.
Maybe what Mother Sri Aurobindo really brought into my life, I had been looking for lost paradise quite a bit of my life, and it was kind of like going back to the origin of humanity. I did music ethnological studies, but at one point it came, what about the future? And this is where Sri Aurobindo comes in a very amazing way, because I consider him a poet, seer of the Vedic age, who basically lays out for us what's in front of us, the possibility and the potential of human evolution.
I think, I don't know, I'm so grateful it came in a really, really important time in my life where I was searching for myself.
It's like the ultimate gift. I always feel every time I have done something with Aryamani, or that it has come from the mother. Whatever she gives me, I will do it. So I always feel it's a great privilege, great privilege, and that too we do it in the Matri Mandir, in that atmosphere with her blessings. It's like she says, "Okay, I give this to you. You do this. You do this." And in my, it's like she's sitting there. She's saying, "Okay, children, do it." It's a tremendous grace she's bestowing on us, and do it in the Park of Unity. Do it there, and I will watch you, and you have my blessing.
My light shall be in thee, my strength, thy force.
After I came to Auroville, whatever I had read about Sri Aurobindo and the mother, it started becoming more and more deep. This theater process was something which did that, because otherwise it was all very reading and listening and intellectual and stuff. But this was something in which there was a active participation. There was dynamism to it.
And I told Aryamani, I said, I don't have any experience and I'm not sure I can do a fit. And she said, no, that's exactly why you should do it. And you might even just not go into this actor or acting thingy. You'll be more authentic. And I think the first time we read together the play, so it was Rodogun, written by Sri Aurobindo, I don't think I understood a thing. So I freaked even more out. I was like, oh, how am I going to do this?
You just let go at some point. So you don't have a memory. I don't have a preparation. Let me say me. You just went. You just trusted the powers that be. You trusted the text. You trusted the director. You trusted the co-actors, and you just did.
There was always an unknown there. I somehow never knew what it would be. And for the first time, sometimes reading the script was like, what to do with this one? But in the process, because everybody worked with such a sincerity, I think that's one of the keys. That created an atmosphere that everything emerged out of this.
दीक्षया तपसा सह ब्रह्मा मातत्र नयतु ब्रह्मा ब्रह्म दधातु मे ॐ
There was already a yes in the heart that, a 1 year process of like putting yourself through all these different learnings, like where there was body work, there was poetry, there was Sanskrit, there was chanting, and there was so much to learn, storytelling and stage presence and exercises, where like that 1 year it was almost like an immersion, that you're stepping into a yagna and you're just kind of being led into a certain space. So yes, I'm just happy that I said yes.
I think for me, one is the text that which we were working itself had such mantric power that I would look forward to read them, and that was one thing that helped. And more than that, also the collective. When you do it in a collective, the way Aryamani held space and different facilitators, held space. Very soon, it became one of the most joyful part of the week.
So it was a perfect opportunity for me to enter into the works of Savitri. There's a very organic development of things that happens, and then it kind of all starts coming together. And I think what I really enjoyed the most was to kind of do minimum and let maximum kind of come out of you. The only thing that we had to do was be in the body.
The life of earth, a tree growing towards heaven. The body of earth. A tabernacle of God.
But also I was really taking that time to come into the present moment, not to think about how the performance would go or what we have learned the 3-4 months that we spent really churning the words, really churning the body language, the posture, the pronunciations, the presence, the energy, the attitude. Bringing all of that into that moment was quite a process.
It is poorness of spirit that has smitten away from me my true heroic nature. My whole consciousness is bewildered in its view of right and wrong. I ask thee, which way may be the better? That tell me decisively. I take refuge as a disciple with thee. Enlighten me.
I believe on the invisible. I believe that whatever happens in the visible is coming from the invisible. And I don't know why I'm much more connected with the invisible than with the visible. And this work with Sri Aurobindo for me is to bring Sri Aurobindo to our real life, that you can see, feel, hear, speak about him, even writing about him. We could hear.
That which is in us is He. And all that we experience outside ourselves is He. The inward and the outward. The far and the near. The moving and the unmoving. All this is He at once.
I had this moment where it's sort of a flash of like seeing Sri Aurobindo sitting and writing those, and I felt really honored to be chosen to speak them out. You know, I always had goosebumps. I can't describe how it felt like, but it felt really connecting myself to him.
The lines, I mean, Savitri, nothing compares, and it's like such a powerful experience of reading them, learning them by heart, and then saying them out loud. It's such a powerful experience.
O spirit aspiring in an ignorant frame, O voice arisen from the inconscious world, how shalt thou speak for men whose hearts are dumb? Make purblind earth the soul's seer vision's home, or lighten the burden of the senseless globe. I am the mystery beyond reach of mind. I am the goal of the travail of the suns. My fire and sweetness are the cause of life. But too immense my danger and my joy. Awake not the immeasurable descent. Speak not my secret name to hostile time. Man is too weak to bear the infinite's weight. Truth born too soon might break the imperfect earth.
And then one day, suddenly, out of like a person faints, no? That sudden, I suddenly started crying. You remember, no? I suddenly broke down because it was difficult for me. I couldn't handle. So then Joy and all started saying that this personality, Sri Aurobindo's persons are real. Even Savitri, he has written in the preface, no, that these are not just personalities. These are actual beings whom I have come in contact with. So maybe he had come into contact with these archetypal personalities which had infused in this character. And so Fayus really got inside me. So then I said, no more villain for me. So she said, no, next play you'll be good guy.
I am the man of sorrows. I am he who is nailed on the white cross of the universe. To enjoy my agony, God built the world. I am the seeker who can never find. I am the fighter who can never win. I am the runner who never touched his goal. I know my fate will never be the same. It is my nature's work that cannot change. I moan and hate.
It was challenging for me also, like her way of directing also not always very clear on direction where we're going, and so sometimes like, oh, I want to know, okay, please give me clear directions, but that's not always how she works. So that's always a challenge, but it was also part of the beauty of the experience of saying, okay, you know what, Aryamani knows what she's doing. I'm sure she has a vision, and we just have to trust her.
And I learned in the later plays, basically in Madhumandir, that I don't have to worry. I just have to trust and surrender, and the right thing will unfold.
Everything that is needed will come. Always have come. In terms of budget, in terms of people, in terms of space, in terms of technical support, everything. Sometimes it comes to the last moment, like a test, no? You have to see if you really you have faith or not. But at the last moment, it comes, no?
You know, that at the end of it, you feel, from in the heart center, you know. So, yeah, and Sri Aurobindo's plays really give you that feeling, that depth and the height, you know, and this other dimension for which we are here, let's say, it corresponds to that.
As long as there is separateness, one sees, hears, smells, speaks to, thinks of, knows. But when the self is realized as the indivisible unity of life, who can be seen by whom? Who can be smelled by whom? Who can be thought of by whom? Who can be known by whom? O Maitreya, how can the knower ever be known?
The text itself, which is like mantra, whatever text we have always used is very powerful and very pure and beautiful and of the highest kind. Then you have the conviction of the people who put it up, including you, the director, and the atmosphere, the venue. Together, it's a very potent and very beautiful experience, you know. And this people receive, and that's why nobody at the end, nobody claps, everybody sits silent for 10 minutes, nobody is moving, the play is over, you know. We have gone to the green room, they're still sitting there. It's like an experience for them. It's so beautiful, and the first time it happened, that was a gift for me, because we felt that they have really appreciated, you know, what we have tried to do.
Oh, it's that goal, oh Nachiketas.
And I'm sitting every night in the audience and watching people leave, watching the audience who have managed to come out of their response after the stage is gone, right? And they've sat there. And it brings me to tears right now. And I'm so happy that I can feel it. People are so moved. So here I go, in the beginning, saying, how are people going to even relate to all these words? This is not about, production has to have action and color. And the people are walking out, and their faces are childlike. They're full of light. They're just open and happy. And they just walk out totally different faces than when they came in, because I also get to see that. Okay, I want to sit over here. Now, where's the best place to sit? In the surface consciousness, right? Which is where we are most of the time. And then the transformation comes. that little experience?
It's the psychic. If the psychic presence is there, if the psychic dedication is there, that makes all the difference. No, and I think that's what also people from the participants attract us to work with you, because the focus is on the psychic presence.
It's a love for Sri Aurobindo. There's nothing else. If you don't love Sri Aurobindo, you cannot do that. You see, out of the mind, I mean, as I went through that myself when people keep telling me, and I know it's outdated, it's too difficult, it's old language. You cannot do that. I mean, it's too complicated. Nobody understands. I kept, I mean, from the very beginning, listen to this kind of observation. No? But something in me was saying, no. Whatever Sri Aurobindo have done cannot be from the past. Sri Aurobindo is the future, whatever. Sri Aurobindo is the future.
It's so funny that days and nights where I was with Sri Aurobindo and Sri Aurobindo was with me, and because I had the script, I was there, I was reading it, I was memorizing it, but also just in general is to feel with everyone. It's feeling like a family, we were and we are there for Sri Aurobindo and with Sri Aurobindo, and I think I realize it now that I've not been so much involved after that, and I realized that there's a lot of Auroville not living on the side of Sri Aurobindo, but not living Sri Aurobindo. And I realize I miss it. I miss this. No matter how we relate to it, we could be writing books about Sri Aurobindo, we can be reading Sri Aurobindo, we can speak about him, or we can basically act for him. But when we go to the routine of Auroville, your job, your this, your that, I realize that, I'm not so close to Sri Aurobindo anymore. But that time was really special, and not because I was just doing it by myself and for myself. We were doing it as a group, and we were really there all together honoring Sri Aurobindo. And I mean, all this comes from his spirit, and that was really beautiful. And I realized, I got disconnected from that.
This inner life, it corresponds to something collective. It must have one need somehow, one reality, collective, invisible, that correspond to that. Otherwise, we are not going to have people, we have no feedback, we have a few. But to have this movement, it corresponds to a reality that you keep ignoring. I just ask myself, why you cannot live that? You cannot live this quality of life, this quality of communication, this quality of being together. Why you cannot manifest that in our day-to-day life? Because I receive this feedback. This is the true Auroville. There we are united. But why you cannot be there right now? If this is the true Auroville, why you cannot live that right now? No? But it is like this, no? And this is the power of Sri Aurobindo again. How he, at this moment, we go to the deepest layers of ourselves at this moment. And there we are united. There we are one. There we recognize, no, our commitment, our relationship, and the connection with Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. But we cannot bring down to our reality. So,
my son, there is a subtle essence which you do not perceive. But through that essence, the truly mighty banyan tree exists. Believe it, my son. Everything that exists has itself in that subtle essence. It is the truth. It is the self. It is you, Beta Ketu, Tat Vam Asi.
She follows to the goal of those that are passing on beyond. She is the first in the eternal succession of the dawns that are coming. And every time I would read those lines, it just brought so much hope. It just felt like, wow, if not do this, what else would I really want to do? If I could just read these lines every day of my life and be inspired by that, what else is really there that is more important than this?
He told me that. He said, Ariamani, you have to do this more often, at least once a year. We have to get used to this language. He told me that. Collectively, you have to get used to this language. And it means to get used to his Savitri language, Shri language. And this is for the future, no? It's something that when we are going to use to be intimate with this language. So when?
Often a lustrous inner dawn shall come, lighting the chambers of the slumbering mind. A sudden bliss shall run through every limb, and nature with a mightier presence fill.
Lost in the halo of her musing brows, night splendid with the moon dreaming in heaven in silver peace, possessed her luminous reign. She brooded through her stillness on a thought deep guarded by her mystic folds of light, and in her bosom nursed a greater dawn.
With him is, more you go to him, more he comes to you. So the answer, when you start opening something, when you start reading and trying to understand, and so slowly, the whole thing opens, and so he there, no? You can enter into that. So this is what I can say about this.
Thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep, amid the roar and ruin of wild time, for the magnificent soul of man on earth. Thy calm, O Lord, that bears thy hands of joy. Thy oneness, Lord, in many approaching hearts, my sweet infinity of thy numberless souls. Thy energy, Lord, to seize on woman and man, to take all things and creatures in their grief and gather them into a mother's arms. Thy embrace, which rends the living knot of pain. Thy joy, O Lord, in which all creatures breathe. Thy magic flowing waters of deep love. Thy sweetness give to me for earth and men.
Om
तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत् सत्येन दीपयेत्। ॐ तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत् सत्येन दीपयेत्।